We have some really exciting news. We are with child. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's Ransom and Michaela, the Dykema fam.
We are here. We are back. And if you don't know already, we are having a boy, a baby boy in the spring of 2025 in April. We're just really, really excited. And so it's been a minute, of course, again, since we've been on here talking with you all, but we've just been living life, trying to get settled into our new home. We're slowly but surely doing that. And just really trying to enjoy and cherish this moment with this little baby growing inside of me. Also, we kind of wanted to share more about our journey because we feel like we were kind of vague in sharing just exactly how we got to this moment. I think it was a little bit difficult for me, at least, to go into major detail about everything just because we were still going through it and we were still, going through the highs and lows and had a lot of questions and not a lot of answers. So, but now we're so grateful and we just want to share our testimony, really, of how God brought this miracle into our lives.
To reflect on over the past 2 years, because it was a trial, it was a pain season for both Michaela and I in different ways. 2022, months, full year goes by, no pregnancy. I think during that time it was probably a bit disheartening for Michaela at times.
I would say about 6 months in, I started to get a little bit concerned, but I wasn't fully distraught because I had heard that, most people give themselves at least a year before they start questioning if anything was wrong. So I think that it was around that time that I was like, this is kind of odd. But yeah, I think especially after the first year, I started to really get a little bit more down.
Fast forward to the end of 23, a whole year has gone by. No form of pregnancy, and I don't know if anyone told us that we maybe should get checked or if we just thought for ourselves.
We just started to think, we need to go get checked. January of 2024, we decided to go in, and by this point we hadn't opened up to really anybody, not even, I hadn't shared it with my parents, I hadn't shared it with any siblings, no one, just the fact that we were trying. I wanted to kind of have that element of surprise, you get pregnant and then you share with your family members and it's just like, oh, such a huge surprise. So I think we really kept it to ourselves for that first year. But I was slowly starting to, feel concerned and down, as I said. And so we decided to go and get checked. And of course, for me, I was very apprehensive and nervous even to go get checked because if you don't know anything about me, I didn't grow up going to the doctor a whole lot, and I'm grateful that I didn't deal with a lot of sickness, but there was a lot of fear and unfamiliarity when it came to going to the hospital, going to the doctor. So I knew that when you try to conceive, there's so many different stories and not everyone gets pregnant right away, and people do face infertility issues. So even before I had met Ransom, I would pray all the time regarding this. I would pray, Lord, I pray that when my husband and I start trying, that we won't have much difficulty. I pray that we don't face any infertility issues, because I really didn't want to have to go through the medical field to get pregnant. It was honestly, it may have been, whether I realized it or not, now I kind of do, it was kind of a fear of mine before I even got married. But we knew we needed to go in to get checked, so we did.
That's right, and you went first.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember driving down to Orange County. We got whatever scan things done, and Michaela's bill of health came back perfectly clean, perfectly healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was great news.
Mm-hmm.
And then part of the equation here as well, so I need to get checked. Lo and behold, my report comes back, and it comes back
Not good.
not at that time. All up until that point, I was the one really having to encourage Michaela, but it kind of flipped, because I kind of in that moment became frustrated and really discontented. Men obviously produce an amount of product, and the product was all fine, non-motile, and it was 100%. We got shown to a resource, this infertility clinic called Kind Body.
Mm-hmm.
They're a national provider.
Mm-hmm.
They have locations all throughout the US, and they specifically focus on helping individuals, families who are struggling with infertility to get pregnant. So.
And I would say immediately when Ransom got the report, it was like, oh, you're gonna have to either do IUI or IVF, and most likely IVF. And I initially rejected that thought, because I had, again, heard of so many testimonies of people, being told by doctors that they were going to need help to get pregnant, and then they would get pregnant. And so I think initially I was just kind of like, Lord, like, you're our doctor. I was afraid. There was a lot of fear on my part. I was the type of girl growing up that didn't even like to get school shots. So I really, really didn't want to go through a whole medical procedure.
And so we have more tests done, and the next test that I do, because I have to do this as part of the clinic's protocol, again, testing my fertility. In that test, the first one that we did for them, they came back and they said that I had no product. And we were like, wow, like we were just, that was another like blow, like a shock. And they told us to,
which means the report came back that he was completely sterile, that
Right.
They didn't see anything at all.
Yeah.
So at first it was like, we see the product, but it's non-motile. And then when he got tested at Kind Body, it was like, we see nothing at all.
Yeah. And we were like,
devastating.
Wow. And they told us to not be overly concerned, like these levels could fluctuate and things like that. But of course, like as an individual, like when you get that report, like you're going to be concerned. You're going to freak out a little bit. But of course, when they didn't find any in the first go round of the testing, they made me do it again, because maybe it was a faulty test, a faulty sample for whatever reason. And so we did another test. And this time, they were able to find 7 moving sperm.
Yeah, and that was really an emotional moment for both of us. That second time he went in to get tested, I felt God tell me so strongly to go with him and to pray the entire time of his test. And I was just in that waiting room praying the entire time. And so when that report came back that they found 7 motile sperm, it was just like, it was so God speaking to us, because 7 is the number of completion in the Bible.
Yeah.
That happened. That was just like a first sign from God to me that I'm in this, that I'm still in control, that it's still me giving you life through this procedure. But there's a part of the procedure where I had to go under and I had to be put to sleep, and that was really terrifying to me. And I kept saying to the Lord, God, I don't want to be put to sleep. I don't want to go under. I don't want to be unconscious for any sort of moment. That just is so terrifying to me. Why can't we just do this the natural way? I don't want to have to go through this to get pregnant. And as I was saying that, I just felt this soft reminder of Adam and Eve in the garden, and how God, being the great physician, he did the first real medical procedure. He put Adam to sleep, took his rib out, and created the woman, created Eve. And when I thought of that, how God put Adam to sleep to create life, I was overwhelmed with peace about this whole IVF process, because when God reminded me of that he is the great physician and that he was going to work through the doctors to help us get pregnant, the fear of going through this whole process went away. And when I tell you, every appointment, every procedure that I had to do, every shot that I had to take, it went so smoothly and so seamlessly. I mean, I just knew, like, with every report that we got back, it was just miraculous how smoothly it went. And honestly,
I think that's another thing though that people maybe wouldn't know, because you're kind of pointing to it, but to go through the procedure, obviously the reason we were having to go about having children this way was because of my seemingly insufficiency, but in order to go through IVF, really the brunt of the process is placed on the woman, just like how pregnancy is.
Right.
The woman is the one that has to be needled and prodded and have their eggs extracted and then just go through more of the process and sort of the agonizing steps in order to get pregnant. And I didn't really have to do much of anything except for we need another sample, we need another we need a few more little dicomas. So that's part of it too.
I really had to trust God in a way that I'd never trusted him before. And I think God stretched me in this experience, through this experience, to trust him in a new way. Because I had been through the experience where you go through something difficult and then God just moves miraculously. I honestly didn't have as much of a challenge trusting him in that way, because I had trusted him in that way before. But in this way, where I had to literally be prodded and my body was in a vulnerable place, and I'm putting myself in the hands of people that I don't know, and I don't know if they're believers, I don't know if they pray, all of those things. I'm putting myself in this position, and I had to trust God in a new way. And I'm just so grateful. So as you all know now, we got pregnant through IVF, and
that's the other thing too, is IVF, although it is, it's been a great tool for a lot of people, and the success rates are great, but it's not a sure thing. It's not a sure thing. And so we just feel so fortunate, so blessed, and we just know that, wow, like God really did answer our prayers, because we could have had to go through it again or attempt again, but no, God said, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna see it through, and it came through for us on the first attempt.
Try. So. And I was even hesitant to make this video and to share that we got pregnant through IVF, because I know that there's so many different opinions about it, especially in the Christian faith world. But we just felt that we need to share our story and how God moved on our behalf, because there might be other people out there that are in a similar season they have maybe a fear or a distrust of doctors, or maybe they kind of in some ways look down upon IVF because they feel like, well, that's not really, faith, trusting in God and believing that God would move on your behalf. But he absolutely moved on our behalf through IVF, and he showed himself so faithful through that experience, and honestly increased both of our faiths through that experience. And so we just really felt the nudge to share this story with people, and not be ashamed of how we were able to conceive our first child, and who knows what's in the future for us if we are able to conceive naturally, thank God. But if we have all of our children through IVF, thank God. We're so grateful to him and to the doctors that helped us along the way.
Absolutely, yeah. I was thinking of one other thing too, and this is more just like kind of another stat, but it might be interesting for people. But it was what we realized in going through this process, was that actually 50%, so half of cases where infertility is an issue for couples, it actually is the male. So that was eye-opening for both of us to know that, okay, like infertility issues doesn't just always land on the on the woman. It can land on the man too, and why that is, or what is causing these issues, because I know like the cases for infertility have definitely gone up dramatically in the world, and there's probably reasoning for that. But yeah, I mean, I think it is good to not be like silent on this, and to share it, because there might very well be other people out there, others, maybe not you directly, but people around you, family members, friends, who are going through, and so it just helps to shed light and be encouraging. So
yes. Well, we hope that this was encouraging, and we know that there's so many different stories out there, so many people who may be struggling in this particular area. So we just want to send our love, we want to send our prayers, and hopefully this is just a great example of what God can do in your life. We love you. Until next time. Bye.